Hello everyone and welcome to Adobe XD for UI UX, and for this lesson we'll be going ahead and learning on how to make buttons in Adobe XD. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. So first what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the text tool and type in, let's say, button. Okay, let me zoom in. There you go. Now I have the button text over here. Let me go ahead, make it much more darker so it is easier for us to see, at least. Then I'm going to go ahead, create a square over here or a rectangle over here. Let me set the width to, let's say, 100 and the height to, let's say, 50. There you go. The height to 30. There you go. And then I'm going to set the button here at the center over here. Then selecting this square, I'm going to send it to back and then set it right at the center over here so that it's much more easier and clear for us to see. Then what I would want to do is select this border over here. We have the fill color over here. I'm just going to give it a fill like this so that I can see it and remove the border for it. Now, after removing the border for it, I want to select it and scale it so that it fits perfectly inside this text over here, or the text fits perfectly inside it over here. And then I'm going to select both of this and basically group them together so that I have this now. Now, let's say you are not satisfied with how this layout looks like. You can select this again, and then you can click on the layout option over here and select padding over here. So what padding is, basically it makes it a layout. So you have the padding over here, -5. I can select it and set it to 5 over here so that it uniformly puts up 5. But as you can see, if you consider the text on the top from this B, because B is the largest text over here, or visually largest object over here. So you can go ahead and select the second option over here, all padding values, and you can set them as you want. So if I were to select the top button over here, let's say I put this at 2 over here. As you can see, if I put this at 0 over here, it's like that. If I put this as -2 over here, it will look like this, as you can see. Now on the side over here, let's keep it at 1, as you can see there. And on the left side as well, let's keep it at 1 uniformly. And from the bottom as well, let's try to keep it at -1 as well. So as you can see, that's like that, but on the top as well, it's not that much same. So I'm going to put it at -3. And as you can see, it looks much more clearer and much more refined now, so to say. Now, let's say you want to have much more interaction. So I'm going to select this button over here and move it right over here like this uniformly, as you can see. Then I'm going to realign it towards the right over here. Now, let's say you want to edit this text, add in an icon inside of it. So a very useful tool or website would be fontawesome.com. So here, as you can see, at fontawesome.com, I went ahead and, as you can see, I can copy the icon name. I selected display icon and I selected light, and over here you can copy the glyph. So as you can see, it is now copied. Now let me go back to Adobe XD. And if I were to double click on this button, as you can see, and just press Ctrl V, it will just pop that icon in. For now, this icon is, as you can see, it came up like this because it's not supported for this text. So I'm going to go ahead and change the text font. But if you were to, let's say, are not able to put that icon in, you can go ahead, go to View over here, go to Libraries over here. You can go to Character Styles, Components as well over here. And you can also add a component as well. Or you can go ahead and delete that. Let me go ahead and delete that component. Let me undo it. You can add in any kind of button or icon like that. You can also add colors. You can also add like that, this color, as you can see. This is basically in your libraries. You're adding this inside your libraries. But for now, let me undo that. You can also view the libraries, add your styles and components, or use elements from existing libraries as well. But we do not want that. I'll just create a button and show you how it works. It basically depends on your icon, like how well you can build your icon in. Or before grouping this up together, I can go ahead and select or download an icon, let's say from Flaticon. So you can also download and use a Flaticon icon as you see fit. As you can see, I downloaded a play button icon from Flaticon, and let me just resize it so that it fits our There you go. So that it fits our entire button over here. So I'm going to press Ctrl G or Control Shift G to ungroup this. Let me go back to our layers view over here so that we can see if it is ungrouped or not. As you can see, it's not ungrouped, so I'm going to press Control Shift and G to ungroup it now. Then I'm going to increase this, and select the button and move it around there, and we'll place this right at the center, lower it down a bit, and place this right over here. Then I'm going to select all of this and group them up together. Now, under the layout here, under the pacing over here, let me, with that pacing, let me go ahead and realign it perfectly. So I'm going to select this, place this right over here, so select it, and basically realign it perfectly like this, as you can see. Now you can also go to view, you can also show the square guide over here, but the square guide won't work because you do not have an artboard. So let me go ahead and create an artboard so that I can see the square guide and use the square guide as a base for my objects over here. So I'm going to ungroup this, and ungroup this again. So let me go ahead and first separate these things and first realign it perfectly. Our boxes over here and realign them perfectly over here, as you can see. So now this one's character size is 27. No, that's not the character size. The size is over here. Let me reduce it down to 19 so that it fits perfectly. As you can see, it fits perfectly there, but 18 is a standard size as well, and 16 is a standard size as well. Let's go with 16. So now 16, with 16 I have this one, let's say at the one box from the right side over here, and this one box from the left side over there, put it in the center. There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead, delete the artboard over here, but as you can see, I cannot delete the artboard because these are not perfectly aligned. I'm going to group them up together so that they are in a single group. Now, as they are in a single group together, I am going to move them outside of our artboard and delete the artboard now. Now I can use this button, go to the padding again, and change the padding to however I like. So it's -3 for the top side, but as you can see, it doesn't work. So let's go with -2. There you go. That fits perfectly. For this one, let's keep both of this at, let's say, 1 each for this side and this side. There you go. And from the bottom part, let's give it at -2 as well. No, -2 is too much, so -1 would be perfect. There you go, but -1 is still not that much perfect, so I'm going to press -1.5. And as you can see, that also doesn't work. -2 also doesn't work, so I'm just gonna go with 0. That looks perfect as it is. Now, this is just a basic design of a button, and you can then basically change how this button looks like. This is basically how you design a button. Now you can have different icons, you can have different types of buttons as well. So for example, let me go ahead first, create this, and then change the roundness for it. So I can go ahead, add in a round curvature like that. But before that, let me go ahead and change the different radius for each corner. I have the radius here, as you can see, same radius for all corners. So let me go ahead and set different radius, or set the radius here to, let's say, 50. There you go. Now, once that is done, I can go ahead, expand this like this. Then you have the width and height. Let me set it to 300 for the width, or 300 is too much. Let me set it to, let's say, 100 for this one, and the height for 300. As you can see, that makes it like that. Now, we do not want a button like this. Let me set the height to, let's say, 50. There you go. Now, that also doesn't look okay. Let me go ahead, change the width to 150. So now that this looks better, but 150 is still too much. Let's keep it at 120. This 120 is perfect. Now I will add in a circle. So I'm going to add in a circle, but before that, let me add in a artboard over here. So after putting the artboard over here, I'm going to first move this so that it is perfectly aligned like that, and move this so that it's perfectly aligned like this, keeping it like one box each difference from the top and the bottom as well. But let me keep it like half a box from the top, half a box from the bottom, and uniformly scale it up like this so that it looks like a circle like that. Now we have our basic like button here as well. Now let me go ahead and remove that. Let me go ahead and copy this and paste this right over here, for example. There you go. But before pasting it, let me go ahead and first select this and make this into a component. So you can make this into a component like this. There you go. Now this is a component, as you can see. So you have a default state over here. Let me add in a new state. So this will be, let's say, the default state. Let me first rename this by double clicking on it, but you cannot rename it like that. For the state 2, you can rename it. So this is the default state over here. Now let me go ahead and rename this to activated state. Activated state. There you go. Now what I can do is right click on it when you will have same types of settings as before. So what you need to do is add in a variable. So I can go ahead, copy this, for example, right over here. But this will create a second component. This will not create a new variable to it. So you can go to object over here. You can go to edit over here as well. And as you can see, you have color profile preferences, turn spell check on if in case for like typing in anything. You can also rename as well. You can under object here, you have different options as well, but we do not want that. You can right click here to set up like a other types of options over here as well. But what we want to do is go to prototype over here. As you can see, you have to create an artboard in order to do that. So instead of this, you need to create an artboard instead of an object. So let me go ahead and first create an artboard over here. There you go. We have now an artboard over here. Now you need to create like set the radius for the artboard. So I can go ahead, select the artboard, but as you can see, there is no radius over here as well. I can go ahead and like set in guidelines like this, but we do not need guidelines. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the guidelines or delete that entirely. Let me go ahead and create an artboard first. And let me go ahead, change the artboard radius and style. There you go. Now I have an artboard. Now I will go ahead and create my box first. So let me go ahead and create a box here like this and change the radius. Okay, so let me go ahead and change the radius to, let's say, about this. Now creating a circle from the center over here. Now we have a button layout over here. There you go. Now this entire artboard, I can go to responsive resize, but I do not need that. I do not need the scrolling as well. What I need to do is basically select this and create a component from this. I can go ahead and create a component from here. As you can see, we have a default state component, but let's type it as button over here. We have the default state over here, and you have hover state, you have toggle state. So I can give the toggle state over here. There you go. This is the toggle state, and I can basically move this around and change this however I want. So I can, let's say create another option over here. So as you can see, we have two art. Let me go ahead and select this artboard and basically change it like this over here, so that we have these two objects over here under one layer. Okay. So now what I would want to do is first, let me go ahead, delete this. I would just want one component. Okay, not too many components. So I need just one component. So I'm going to go ahead, delete the components over here. Let me undo it so that we are back to before it was a component. So I'm going to select the artboard over here and expand it. Not these objects over here. Let me go ahead and first group these objects together. There you go. Move that back, select the artboard, increase the artboard. But as you can see, that also expands. So let me first expand my artboard over here. There you go. And then copy that and paste, or just use that and drag it over here. Now let me ungroup this one and basically reduce down my object over here. So now I can copy this and paste this right over here. As you can see, this is a separate button over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, copy it and paste it and delete this one. There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead, delete this one over here. Then I'm going to go ahead, select this one, group it, and select this one and group it so that we have two groups. Move it right over here. This is the toggle button option, which I'm going to show you how you can create an interactive animated toggle button, that is. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this right over here, align it towards, let's say, the center of our artboard. So I'm going to select all of this, select it like center, align it. I'm going to go ahead, put it at the center over here. And this one as well, put it towards the center over here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, change the fill color to, let's say, this gray part over here. Select this one, change the fill color to it's a darker color over here so that we have some variations. Now I'm going to select this, make this into a component. There you go. So you have the default state, then the hover state. So I'm going to select the hover state over here. So now, or the hover state, instead of the hover state, I'm going to go ahead, delete the hover state or undo, and then a toggle state. There you go. Then I'm going to go to prototype over here. And as you can see, there's a prototype option over here, but I do not want that. What I would want to do is delete or undo everything over here, go back to design over here, then basically have two of this. Okay, so I have two of this, right? So I will do one thing. I will first align it towards the center of my artboard. There you go, and select this one and align it towards the center of my artboard. Now I have two groups, right? I'll expand both of them so that it's easier to see. Now I'm going to go ahead, select group 3 and group 2, or before that I will select both of this, go to prototype over here. Okay, so I'm going to select group 3 and drag it to group 2. So but before that, I would want to go to design. I would want to separate this, go to prototype over here, drag it and paste it over here. So I now have two groups over here. Now if I were to select this, there's a tab option, right? So I'm going to go do one thing, go to design again and put this right over here on top. Now if I were to go to preview over here, now if I were to tap it, as you can see, nothing happens because we're already there. So I'm going to, there's a reason why it's not happening, because this is on top. Okay, so let me put this one on top over here. There you go. Now select both of them and realign them back at the center. I'm going to select all of them and place them like right at the center. Then I'm going to go back to preview again. And then if I were to tap it now, as you can see, still nothing is happening. If I were to, so there's a reason why nothing is happening, because this is not a component. This will not work. There's also another way that you can do it, is basically go to prototype over here. I'm going to explain how prototyping basically works. I'm just showing you a guide on how to make a button right now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that over there. I'm going to go ahead and remove that over there as well. Create another artboard over here, artboard 2, for example. Let me like space it out a bit. There you go. Then I'm going to put it at the center over here and put this one at the center over here. There you go. Now I'm going to go to prototype. I'm going to go to select artboard 1 and set it to artboard 2. And as you can see, we have the type of transition. Trigger is tap. You can also have drag, time, voice as well, keys and gamepad as well. And you have the type transition as well. So we are going to give a transition on auto animate. Before auto animate, we are going to give transition. Destination is artboard 2 over here and animation is none. So let me go and set no animation. So you can give the like auto animate over here, artboard 2, ease out. Let's go with is out. And the duration is 0.3 seconds. And we have no actions over here. Now if I were to go to preview, now if I were to tap this, as you can see, now we have that button. Now we can also do one thing. We can also select artboard 1 over here and set that to there and do basically the same thing. Now this one here and this one here, as you can see, it's the same. So now what will happen is it's in a loop. So if I were to tap this and tap this again, as you can see, it's in a loop right now. Now I can go ahead and change the animation here to, instead of like, let's say 1 second each. So I'm going to put that 1 second. I'm also going to go ahead and put this to 1 second as well. Now if I were to go ahead and play over here, as you can see, it gives like an animation and ease out and ease in. You can also change it. So ease in and out, or bounce. Bounce is also good. So I'm going to select this and select bounce as well. So what that will do right now is basically bounce it, as you can see over here. And if I were to make it full screen, as the size is so small, so it's coming up as small as well. So this way you can create an interactive button. Now I will explain what this prototype is in a prototyping class session, but for now that's how you can create a button. So that's all for this lesson.